All right, let's talk about something we've all felt in the gym, the dreaded plateau. You feel like you're spinning your wheels, just totally stuck. Well, don't worry. Today, we are going to dive into the science of how you can absolutely smash through those limits and start making real progress week in and week out.
Sound familiar? You know, you're showing up, you're putting in the work, but the weight on the bar just won't budge. You're not seeing the changes you were hoping for. Man, it is one of the most frustrating feelings ever.
Look, your effort is almost never the problem. The problem is usually the plan. See, your body is this incredible adaptation machine. If you keep giving it the same old challenge, it just shrugs and says, yep, got this, and it stops changing. So today, we're giving you the scientific blueprint to work with your body to keep those gains coming.
And hey, this isn't just some bro science or my personal opinion. Everything we're about to cover is pulled straight from the gold standard in exercise science, the American College of Sports Medicine. These are the evidence-based guidelines, and they're designed for one thing, getting you the best results possible.
Okay, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this: progressive overload. It's the #1 rule of getting stronger. The best way to think about it is like a video game. You don't get to level up by fighting the same low-level monsters over and over, right? You have to face bigger, tougher challenges. In the gym, that just means gradually, systematically increasing the stress on your muscles. You got to force them to adapt. So, progressive overload is the engine of your progress, but it works with two other critical principles. First is specificity, which basically means your training has to match your goals. Want to get better at squats? You gotta squat. Simple as that. Then there's variation. This means you have to change things up over time to keep your body from getting too comfortable. These three together, they are the absolute pillars of any effective training program.
All right, so how do we actually put this stuff into practice? Let's start with maybe the most common goal out there, getting seriously strong. Here's the scientific blueprint for pure, raw strength. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. The load here is just a percentage of your 1 rep max, or the absolute most weight you can lift for a single rep. Now, notice the huge difference here. If you're new to lifting, you can get fantastic results with moderate weight in that classic 8 to 12 rep range. But for someone who's been training for years, the game totally changes. They need to be handling much, much heavier loads for way fewer reps and then taking these long rest periods to recover for those all-out efforts.
Yeah, that 80% number is where the magic really happens for advanced lifters. Once you start training above that level, you're triggering powerful neural adaptations. It's less about just tearing down the muscle and more about teaching your brain and your nervous system to fire more efficiently, to recruit more muscle fibers at once. Think of it like upgrading your computer's software. You're making the signal from your brain to your muscles way more powerful. But, what if your main goal isn't just about lifting the heaviest weight possible, but about building visible muscle size? Well, that's a goal called hypertrophy, and its blueprint looks a little different. So for getting bigger, the recipe shifts. It's more about creating total volume and what's called metabolic stress. That's that burn you feel when you're pushing out those last few reps, with shorter rest times. You can see the sweet spot is still that 6 to 12 rep zone, and by keeping the rest period shorter, you create this potent hormonal soup in your body that screams at your muscles to grow. So if strength was a software upgrade, this is all about upgrading the hardware, the muscle fibers themselves. Let's just put them right next to each other so it's crystal clear. For strength, you're training the nervous system, heavy weights, low reps, long rest. For size, you're training the muscle itself with metabolic stress, moderate weight, higher reps, shorter rest. Now they definitely overlap, but if you want to optimize for one over the other, you got to focus your approach. And this quote brings us right back to that third pillar we talked about, variation. The research on this is absolutely clear. Your body is smart. If you do the same workout over and over again, it figures it out. It adapts and your progress grinds to a halt. You have to systematically change up your volume and intensity over time. That's the real key to long-term sustainable gains. So, strength and size are the big two, but they are not the only goals in the gym. Let's check out two more blueprints, one for explosive power and another for muscular endurance. The ability to just keep on going.
So first off, it's super important we get what these actually mean. Power isn't just about being strong. It's about being fast. It's how quickly you can express your strength. Think of a sprinter exploding out of the blocks. Endurance, on the other hand, is all about your muscles' ability to fight off fatigue and just keep on working. Now, the blueprint for power is really interesting. Notice how light the weights are?
That might seem weird, but that's because the most important part here isn't how much you lift, it's the intent to move it as fast as humanly possible. Every single rep needs to be explosive, and that's why the rest periods are so long, to make sure you are fully recovered and can be just as explosive on your next set. For endurance training, we completely flip the script. The whole goal is to challenge the muscle's metabolic engine. You do that with lighter weights, way higher reps. We're talking 10, 15, even 25 reps, and very short rest periods. You are trying to create fatigue on purpose, to teach your muscles how to get better at clearing out waste and just keep contracting.
Okay, so we have all these blueprints for strength, size, power, and endurance. Now let's see how we can put this all together into a real-world weekly plan that actually makes sense for your experience level.
Now, you might think that more is always better, but that's just not true, especially when you're starting out. A beginner can make absolutely incredible progress just by training their whole body 2 or 3 times a week. But as you get more advanced, your body can handle more, and in fact, it needs more frequent and more specialized training to keep pushing that adaptation forward.
So how do you actually do progressive overload in the gym tomorrow? Let me give you the most practical method ever. It's called the 2-rep rule. It's so simple. Let's say your goal for an exercise is 10 reps. The moment you can hit 12 reps with perfect form for 2 workouts in a row, that's a clear signal from your body saying, hey, I've adapted. I'm ready for more. That's your cue to increase the weight by just a little bit, maybe 2 to 10%, and start working back up to your target reps again. It's a foolproof system for making progress.
So if there's one big takeaway from all this, it's that progress in the gym should not be random. It shouldn't be guesswork. It's a science. And by using these core principles, overload, specificity, and variation, you can stop hoping for results and start building a plan that actually guarantees them.
So there you have it. We've laid out the science-backed blueprints for getting stronger, bigger, more powerful, or for lasting longer. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it?